How's everybody? Corio here, and in this video, I want to continue to answer questions. Originally, this is supposed to be like all one video, but as I was recording this over and over again, it became very evident that these two questions kind of need their own video and space. Questions like, what keeps you motivated, and do you suffer from depression? So pretty important questions. Oh yeah, if you're new to the channel, I'm Corio. I make videos about what it's like to live with paralysis and all things spinal cord injury, and I'm just kind of continuing to answer some questions here. Question one, what keeps you motivated? Well, if we're being honest, it's definitely money. Next question. No. Yeah, this is a pretty heavy question, and there's multiple layers to this answer. There's so many different factors, and the unsureness and the hesitancy from my part isn't the fact that I don't know what it is. It's just that there's so many different things I think contribute to what makes me tick and what kind of keeps me motivated. But at the end of the day, I think in general, like a lot of people, I just want to be like the best version of who I am and who I can be, no matter what the situation is. And I think I was like that also before the injury, and the injury after itself kind of, I don't want to say make it worse, but kind of kicked it into overdrive. And it's funny how that happened. I don't understand completely how yet, even 12 years later. I think for me, motivation, it definitely is tied into like fulfillment and what makes you happy. And if you're struggling with motivation and you're struggling to find happiness and things along the lines of that, I think for me, I am a high school teacher, and that brings, as stressful as it is and as challenging as it is, it does motivate me. It does bring me fulfillment, and I think it's because in a way it's a way of me still being able to, and it sounds very selfish now that I say that, it's a way for me to still help and still contribute and still teach and still offer things that beyond physical help, right? Because I'm no good at helping stacking chairs or writing on the board, or I'm no good at these physical things, but being able to be there and help others is super fulfilling to me. And even though again it's like so stressful, and I do not recommend if you are a quad or anyone with disability, I do not recommend you get into teaching unless you really want to, because it is so tough. It is so tough, but it is fulfilling because it's a way that I feel like I can still contribute and be a functioning member of society. But I think that's everyone too. So if you're struggling to find fulfillment or motivation, it's weird that for me, and hopefully for other people too can relate, but it comes from helping others. It comes from putting yourself out there, and then when you give back, it comes back to you, right? That kind of reward system. I think as humans, it's kind of built in that way, and that's kind of why we are that way. So I think for me, one, it is tied with fulfillment, my motivation, being able to help these kids. And I imagine it is kind of being like a parent, where it's you see kids at one point in their lives, and then before you know it, they're growing up and maturing, and knowing that you had something hopefully to do with that is very rewarding, and definitely keeps me going and keeps me motivated and wanting to continue to teach and be the best version of a teacher that I can be. And also I think that's why I YouTube as well, because there's a lot of similarities to that. It's a different type of way of educating and teaching and showing, and it's a fun way to do it. So I think that's also why this also helps a lot for me. And if it helps others too, that's the beauty of it. It's a win-win for everyone. So I think this next part of fulfillment has to do with challenges, And it also kind of takes me back to, back when I was an athlete and, just being very competitive. And I'm not saying competitive in the way that, I'm trying to compare myself to others and what all my friends are doing or anything like that. No, it's more competitive in the fact, like, as athletes, we thrive on challenges, and we thrive on the process and things along the lines of that. It sounds pretty sick talking about it right now, but there are no shortage of challenges with the spinal cord injury, right? Even getting out of bed, getting into bed, driving, going, just leaving the house, getting around, right? There's so many challenges. There's no shortage of such. And it's not that I get off on those challenges. It sounds really weird. It's that, that they are there. And this is with anybody and anyone that goes through any kind of challenge, that at the end of that challenge, there is fulfillment. There is happiness, right? There is a sense of accomplishment. And that, in the sense of me, and hopefully this is making sense, is what motivates me. So, if you're someone that's, looking for, fulfillment or happiness and motivation, right? Taking on challenges and knowing just kind of, the benefit of them. Do they suck? Absolutely, right? Making life harder, it does suck. It's that's why it's called a challenge. But I think I've over the years, and this is even with teaching, I've learned and learned to embrace that kind of challenge. And there's like this ongoing kind of, battle that I kind of have internally sometimes with motivation. For example, like I'm very stubborn, and I know that. But I also know that because of my stubbornness, because of my unwillingness to, rely on people all the time and just kind of wanting to figure it out on my own, has got me to where I am today, right? That stubbornness of trying to figure it out. At the same time, though, things would be a lot easier if I would just ask for help for some things as well. So I've still, even though I enjoy a challenge and, I've embraced it and I see the importance of it, I still kind of fight that balance of asking for help and figuring it out. So hopefully that makes sense as well. Another thing that keeps me motivated too is, realizing the privilege and realizing the situation that my family and friends have kind of allowed me to be in. Again, I had that great circle that allows me to, ask for help. And because I'm in that privileged situation, like I gotta take advantage of it, right? I got to embrace it. I have to, not let that go to waste, because I've met other quads, I've met other people in wheelchairs, I've met other people in different situations, and it's not always what I have. And being thankful and appreciative is very empowering, right? To not waste this opportunities. I mean, I could have not have been here, easily, but 12 years later, here I am. And it's part of my motivation is making your family proud, making your friends proud. That plays into it too, but also just being appreciative of life and the people around you, and doing it because you have that opportunity just to do so, because it doesn't always work out that way. So that's actually pretty huge. Now that I think about it now, that's a big factor of why I'm kind of nuts and why I do the things I do. Let me give you an example of how kind of my mind, which is a scary place, and you guys are kind of figuring that out, of how it operates in terms of my stubbornness and motivation, and how it kind of is related. So I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was trying to film this couch here, trying to film like how to get in and out of the couch. But that earlier that week or that morning, or that I think it was the day before, I was like Swiffered and did these floors and made them all nice, and they became very, very slippery. So I got into the couch perfectly fine. The camera's over here, and it's just me. I'm home alone, and so I got in fine. But as I was filming and trying to come out, the chair was moving. So trying to get back into the chair was like almost near impossible, because it just kept moving because the floors were so slick. So I had to kind of improvise. I had to grab a weight I had to move some things around. I had to like use a bag to, fish something, to make sure, and move my chair against this part of the couch to make sure it didn't move. And I was on the couch I looked at the footage. I was on the couch for about an hour, right? I think a normal person would have just like called for help at that point. But for me, because I am so stubborn, like I wanted to figure it out first and try all my avenues and all my solutions until I really was like, all right, I'll go call somebody. But that's kind of how things go in my mind sometimes, or more often than not. And I don't know if that helps or not, but that's the truth, and that's my honest answer of how my brain, again, which is a scary place, just kind of operates. But again, like, because I'm this way also is because I'm this way. Next question: do you suffer from depression as a result of your disability, or in general? If yes, how do you cope with it? To be honest, like entirely, as of right now, I'm not depressed. But I'm also 12 years in. It's been a long time since my injury, and I know for someone that is able-bodied, just thinking about what would happen to you if you were paralyzed and you can no longer move, and do the things you used to do and love, like it sounds very depressing. And it is. The first 2 years for anyone that has a spinal cord injury is probably the toughest, because just emotionally and physically, I mean, it's beyond physical. It's just too much. It's so much at one time. You're learning your new body, the way it works, how it feels. It's just it's such a change. Like your life changes in an instant, and it's tough to deal with all at once. In those first 2 years, if like at me, I was age 20, and you're kind of on the brink of adulthood, or like a young adult, and you're in an adult body, but it feels like you're a baby, because everyone is taking care of you, and doing everything for you, feeding, dressing, bathing, just a lot of things you used to do on your own, and then you are forced to have help. I believe early on, those were the tough days. Those were days that were the toughest. Sometimes I would look forward just to go to bed, because that was easier than the day. Those were the tough years for me in terms of depression. Also, I spent most of my life in Seattle, and although I started working as a teacher and working, and that was very fulfilling, and I loved it. I loved being there. I loved the kids. It came to a point, Seattle isn't like Hawaii, right? Seattle is it's lots of rain. It's very cold. It gets dark at like 4 o'clock. Shout out to anyone watching from Seattle. You guys are I don't know how you guys do it. Basically, two months of sun throughout the whole entire year. It's a tough place. I miss the people, but it's a tough place to age with the spinal cord injury. I remember specifically like a few times that I had to go grocery shopping, and I had to literally psych myself up just to get up to go grocery shopping, because it was so cold and just so rainy and dark, and just and that's not way for me. I said I needed to make a change, because that I can't live like that long term, and there's no you don't get a medal or anything like that for enduring life in Seattle in a wheelchair, even though you should. So I'm very lucky and privileged that I have family here, and so I moved back to my roots here in Hawaii. In Seattle, in terms of depression, there's that disorder. It's called SAD. I think it's called seasonal affective disorder. I definitely had that because of the weather, and because people with spinal cord injuries, we don't regulate temperature very well. So going out always felt like a huge daunting task. Even just going out with friends too. It was just so cold, and I always would towards the end of it, I would make excuses. I was like, it's too cold, I don't want to go, or to stay home and not socialize. And also just physically getting around when it's raining, that's your hands slip, and I already have bad hands, so it just wasn't a long-term thing, so I decided to move. The second part of that question is like, if yes, like how do I cope with it? Again, I can't stress this enough, but I have that group of friends and family and people around me that care. They don't allow me to get too low. I always have someone to talk to if I need it. Expressing those feelings. How else do I deal with it? Teaching helps a lot too. As kind of crazy as that sounds, I'm a health teacher, so I also teach social and emotional learning and expressing emotions and optimism versus pessimism. So those kind of lessons, in order to really believe and preach what you're teaching, like you got to do those same things. And I've taken my mental health and emotional health very, very seriously. Moving to Hawaii, it's I socialize a lot more. I don't have excuses of going out a lot more. It's not as hard going grocery shopping, right? I live like 5 minutes from the beach. I'm growing a pineapple off my balcony, like just stuff like that. And I realized like not everyone has, that's the only thing, I moved to Hawaii to be happy. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, it's helped me. I guess living in Hawaii too, I guess I am depressed. My bank account is depressed because of how expensive it is. If that's any, that's actually really true. Yeah, so moving to Hawaii, teaching, friends, going out, expressing my emotions. Also YouTube too has also just been really, really helpful in terms of, coping with things, because it allows me to reflect and gather my thoughts and put it into a kind of nice little video for people to hopefully take something from. And that anytime you're doing that, being vulnerable and expressing yourself and emotions, that's so much good for your mental health and for your well-being. If you are going through it, if you're newly injured, it's tough. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like that, it's one of the hardest things, obviously that I've had to go through, but I think in this world, but it can start with little small changes, like attitude and being optimistic and finding things that that you can be happy for. A lot of the times I go back to like I could have easily not been here, right? And just kind of living life that way, of appreciating and just being in the moment and having those things and going out. Now I'm just rambling. Hopefully, you can find some things that bring you joy, that you still can do, or even learning something new or putting yourself out there. All those things, they help so much. All right, so to kind of end this video, thank you, again for watching. Thank you for leaving comments, and I'm an open book. That's why I started this channel. That's why I enjoy doing it, because it's been fun to watch the reactions and hopefully how it has helped many different people in many different ways. But if you have more questions, like I said, I enjoy doing these videos, and also it gives me a good anchor point to not only reflect but also have some direction to do that. And again, it is rewarding. So yeah, ask away. I'm an open book. But yeah, I guess that's it. I gotta go eat lunch. So to the next one. Okay, shoots. Bye, you guys.